Who could have imagined that the old lamp seller at the gate had once lived a life filled with love, adventure, and incredible resilience? Every wrinkle on her face hides a story, and every flicker of her lantern holds a mystery, waiting to be revealed. But today, one curious soul will uncover a tale that changes everything. The old woman lead Janelle into her cottage as she began her story. I was born in a place a little bit different than this. It had a strong sense of community. It was a royal village. My family came from a long line of lamp makers. The lamps hold great significance in the village. They were believed to bring good luck, direction, and clarity. There was no festival, journey, or tradition held in the village without the lamps. So we were an important family to the village, almost as significant as the royal family, the lamp makers. My parents carefully taught us the science and art of the lamps. Mom would say there is no magic in the lamp, but the magic is in the heart of the lamp maker. I was curious about the world. I didn't believe the lamps were any important. I mean, they were always there. I was in awe at the stories of the different travelers that bought lamps. Each one had a unique story. It's wonderful experience. I wanted to travel, to meet new people, to fall in love. But my family were not very fond of my little idea. My sister couldn't fathom why I wanted to leave. I mean, you could do all that here, she would often say. Father would get angry. He didn't want to hear it. He would say, "There's nothing out there, Yerma, that isn't here. People are cruel out there. Stay where it is safe. You have the legacy of the lamps." This brought a lot of conflict between I and Father. I would say to him, "I don't want the legacy of the lamps, Papa. I want to create my own legacy," or at least said I tried. When I turned 18, I left the village. My dad finally let me leave. He bade me off with a hug and a sad smile. "Don't forget to write. You were made to shine. We'll miss you terribly, dear." I bade my family goodbye and left to explore the world. Well, things weren't as rosy as I expected. My first year out there was difficult. I ran out of cash. I barely had food to feed myself, and I sold my horse. I did a lot of small jobs. I had moments where I had attempted going back. The lamps were not so profitable out there. My first employer hated them. "Those lamps bring bad luck. I don't want to see you near my shop no more. If you're going to try to sell to my customers your dirty lamps," he said angrily as he dismissed me with a red face. As time went by, I adapted. I finally secured a job with a seamstress. She had a good reputation in the kingdom. She made dresses for the royal family and I helped her, but we were being paid little. It was just enough to get by. 5 years had passed and I was still working with the seamstress. I was of a higher rank by now. I had left home to see the world, but I was too engrossed in my work. And surviving that, I didn't even notice the world around me anymore. I had forgotten why I started. I had stopped making lamps. I had stopped dreaming. My parents send me letters every month, but I rarely write back, and when I do, I assure them I was fine, I was happy, I was living the dream. From their letters, I learned I had a little nephew. Apparently my sister had married into royalty. One day I went to the castle to deliver a dress from my madam. A duchess and duke from one of the royal villages was in the province. The king had ordered a custom-made dress for the duchess. When I got to the castle, I was surprised that it was my sister. She was the duchess. She was shocked to see me and I was red with embarrassment on seeing her. She rushed and gave me a big hug. "Yerma, it's been 5 years. You hardly write and you never even thought of visiting." Glad to see my sister and embarrassed, I apologized. I and my sister did a lot of catching up after that. We were glad to see each other. She told me of her husband the Duke and life back in village. It was then it hit me. I had done nothing, achieved nothing. I felt so inadequate. I told her of my journey so far. "I should have just stayed where it was safe, Matilda. I should have never left the village." She looked at me and said, "So you'll live all your life asking what if?" She smiled as she spoke solemnly. "We don't always get what we want in life, sis. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we realize what we thought we wanted is not actually what we want. Sometimes we find something better." With misty eyes she said, I'm proud of you for going after your goals and standing on your own 2 feet alone. Not all of us have the courage to do so. The lamps signify clarity and directions. What's most important about the lamps we make is the light it brings. It shines in darkness, and that alone is magic. Be a lamp, shine, no matter where you are, and remember why you started. Those words really got to me and have stuck with me through the years. I looked around nervously as I told her, I'm sorry the seamstress girl turned out to be the Duchess' sister. She looked at me with raised brows and said, Nonsense, you were my sister before I became a duchess. I pleaded with her not to make Mom and Dad worried about me. She didn't make any promises. I'll give you a year before I spill the beans. Let's see where you'll be by then. I mean, a duchess can give you a little push, she said, smirking. Matilda left the province a week later. I bade her goodbye at the gates. My world had changed already. I saw people differently. I made connections. I noticed little things. I was seeing the world, and it was beautiful. From the grace of the elites in their carriages to the humbleness of the villagers tending their fields, the airs were filled with a sense of magic and mystery, as if every corner held a story waiting to be told. I was designing my life. I was designing my happiness, although sometimes I still felt kind of lonely and empty. Eventually, I joined a group of explorers who went on many adventures, earning their fortune mainly by trade, especially of rare flowers and gemstones. We did a lot of adventure, and I loved it. We had a lot of fun during our journey. We would go out to hang out and participate in some moonlit merrymaking. I have not made a lamp in years though. I was still unsure about them, until I met him.